SLS 1101 students, and welcome to the first week of your new student success class. My name is Professor Shearer, and I want to take a few minutes to welcome you to the class as well as provide you with some information to make your journey as straightforward and dependable as possible. Starting with obviously my name, where you can reach me via my office and text message, and my email address is provided here as well. I also wanted to use this time to give you a little bit of instruction related to the corresponding model, which this week we are in Module 1, the first section. My first question to you is, why are you taking this class? And I know the most common answer is because I was told I had to, or my advisor said it was required, or something along those lines. And I encourage you to think past that original thought into the big picture. What are you really wanting to accomplish? Because if we're only here because we have to be, you'll find that you don't get anywhere near as much out of this class as you would if you have a purpose. I'm in this class because I want to be a firefighter and this is my first step down that journey. Or I want to be a nurse and I want to provide for a family. Or I want to get the most out of college and find out all there is to explore at the college itself. So even though I know the original thought is that you take the class because you have to, I encourage you to fight past that rationale and find a purpose for yourself in this class, and you'll get more out of it in a return. So just keep that in mind as we go through our presentation here today. I want to give you a little bit more information about me. There I am, my wife Rebecca, and my two twin boys, Jonas and Landon. I was born and raised in Fort Pierce, Florida. I've been teaching now for 9 years. Myself, I graduated from IRSC. I was the first bachelor level graduating class from the education department. I was previously a math instructor before taking on the student success classes. There are my twins, they're almost 7 years old now. A big Miami Dolphins fan, I enjoy cooking, and I was a former theater major in college. So a little bit about me. And we'll also talk about the class a little bit, and I'll walk you through the syllabus. If you don't have the syllabus yet, do me a favor and pause the video. Go ahead and print out the syllabus, and I'll walk you through some of the steps. Your pages might not align directly to the pages I have in front of us, but try to have a look at page 1 of your syllabus and find out where it says the course dates. That will give you the opening date of the class all the way through the last week, so make sure you have that and use it on a calendar so you know where you're going to be with us in the class. Important to talk about is the attendance deadline. The attendance deadline is in place for every class you'll take at the college. It usually runs the first week of the class, and there's usually something you have to do to prove attendance to hold your seat in these classes. If it's a face-to-face class, it's usually just showing up for the class and making sure your mark attended. But if it's an online class, it usually involves completing a Start Here module or completing an assignment and submitting that by a deadline. But it's very important that you do that. So find that deadline and make sure that you get everything submitted so that you're not automatically withdrawn from the class. There is my contact information on the syllabus as well, although you already have that. One thing I wanted to point out to you is I do prefer text messages, but I only respond to them during my posted office hours. So find out where my office hours are, probably on Blackboard where it says instructor information. It'll have my office hours printed, and I'll respond back to any text messages during those hours. So please be patient while I complete that. Page 2 of your syllabus, be familiar with the learning objectives. We're going to go through 5 broad topics throughout our time together and specify those in module by module. Make sure you know where the textbook is and how to find that. I always recommend that you buy the textbook used, preferably from Amazon. It's much more affordable online. Make sure you have printed out your schedule of activities and keep that somewhere near where you'll be working for your SLS 1101 class. That way you have that handy, and that will walk you through the syllabus page 2. All of your assignments for the class are going to be set in a specific due date. I usually do every Sunday by midnight, but that might change semester by semester, so make sure you check the due dates for your semester. But I encourage you to set reminders of those due dates on your phone just so you have that last minute reminder of, oh, I have an assignment due today. So it only takes a couple of minutes. On the iPhone, you would just go to your reminders app, click the plus, add a new SLS work due tonight, and then set the days of the week where your assignments are due. Sometimes there's assignments due twice a week depending on the semester. A summer semester goes by more quickly than a regular semester. So set reminders so that you're not surprised, have those pop up, and keep that in mind. The pros and the cons of having due dates like that, or having reminders for those due dates. The pros is you don't forget. The con would be if you're not thinking about your assignments until the morning of the day they're due, you're working on procrastination. It's a habit that we're going to try to break as part of our objectives in this class. So even though I don't want you to forget about your assignments and I want you to set these reminders as a last minute reminder to make sure you get that work in, I also don't want you pushing everything off until the last minute. Sometimes assignments are due on the weekend and you push things off to the last minute and you have a question and you can't reach out to me for an answer because I'm out of the office for the weekends. So I encourage you to at least have a look at your assignment earlier in the week so you know what your objective is for the week. If you complete it on the weekend, that's totally fine, but be going into it with an open mind and have some information going into the weekends. Have a separate reminder maybe earlier in the week to remind you of that as well. Back to the syllabus, on page 3, you'll find your grading scale, the types of assignments we have in the class, notes about calculated grades, and study and preparation time based on semester. So syllabus page 3, nothing too overwhelming there. Page 4, I wanted to pick out something about a W versus an F versus an incomplete. W's and F's, we want to avoid both of those. W stands for withdrawal, F stands for failure, it's the letter grade. And a withdrawal versus an F, neither one of them look fantastic on a transcript. However, a W, a withdrawal, doesn't count against your GPA, whereas an F does. So if you're struggling with a class, I would first encourage you to reach out to an instructor as quickly as possible as soon as you start struggling. Don't struggle for a week and then another week go by and a third week before you ask. Catch that issue head on as early as possible. But if something happens and you can't get over an issue and you know that you're not going to be able to be successful in a class during a semester, it's much better for you to take a withdrawal for that class and attempt it again another semester than to take an F, because the F will hurt your GPA as well. Keep in mind, though, that if you're on financial aid, either one of those might have a negative effect on financial aid. So only use either one of those as a last case resort and pick a withdrawal over a failure if need be, but always reach out to an instructor and an advisor for more information. Syllabus on page 5, late or missed assignments. Please try to work proactively on your assignments, but if you do miss a due date, please reach out to me for information about how to submit that for late credit. All of your assignments are submitted on Blackboard, so be sure that you're familiar with Blackboard and how to submit those assignments as well. And then have a look at the rest of your syllabus on your own time. It's important, but it's things you can kind of figure out along the way. I want to give you a couple pieces of advice on the video. Advice number 1, my first day of college was about 17 years ago, and I keep thinking about trying to remember what that day was like, and unfortunately I just don't remember. It was too long ago. It didn't have anything out of the ordinary or impactful happened that day, and it's lost from my memory. So my advice to you is, if this is your first semester of college, if this is your first day of class, do something that you're going to remember 17 years down the road. Make something extraordinary, something worth remembering. That way, whenever you're looking back at this moment years from now, you remember and say, hey, that was my first day of class. That was my first day of college. And based off that day, now I have this career. Now I have this family. Now I have this lifestyle, whatever it is in your situation. So do something important, do something worth remembering. Advice number 1 for you. We forget for all sorts of reasons. So other options here you can read through as well. We'll talk more about these as we go through the semester. We're going to talk about goals in just a moment as well, and that will help with some of this. Student success, just in a nutshell, this course provides extensive instruction and study skills strategies, help students develop a positive attitude towards learning, which is probably the most important of all of those, because if that comes into place, all the other ones kind of fall in line as well. And it offers an orientation through the college as well during our time together. This is a picture of the IRSC graduation pamphlet they hand out. At the very bottom of the very first page, you can see what it says here. Student success is the most important thing at IRSC. So it's not just something we say, it's kind of embedded at everything we do here in the college. So when people say they are invested in your future, they certainly mean it, and I mean it as well. So take this class seriously, take yourself seriously, and you'll get more out of it as a result. Here's some proof to that. These are students who had recently taken the class. These are my spring 2017 students. I asked them at the very end of class, if this class weren't required, would you still recommend a friend starting at the college? 72% said yes, even 15% said maybe. Only 13% of around 100 students said no. So really positive results at the end. Exit survey, did the class meet your expectations? Again, you can see the results here. 72% said overwhelmingly so. 21% said more so than not. Only 4.3% were kind of in the middle, and you see only one single student there at the very end. So positive results. These are class surveys. We get these at the very end of semesters based on what you fill out for your survey on your enjoyment level of the class and your investment in the class. You can see the scores here are really strong. Overall core score, a high is a 5. This is a 4.8. The instructor side here, almost a 4.8 also, and overall 4.8 as well. So keep an open attitude, keep an open mind. I'm telling you that you're going to enjoy the class. But like anything else in life, you get out what you put in. So when I ask you why are you taking SLS 1101, keep that in mind. Have an answer other than because I was told I have to take it, and you'll get more out of it. So I want you to think about a time in your life when you excelled at something that you had to do. Someone told you you had to do something and you did well at it. You did your best at it. You put 100%. And the fact is, it's probably hard to think about something that you were told you had to do it. You didn't really want to, but you still excelled nonetheless. Because typically whenever you're told you have to do something, you approach it with a bare minimum mindset. You just want to get it over and done with. That's what we're talking about, the purpose of taking this class. You may or may not have been told that you had to do so. So I don't want you going in with that mindset of the bare minimum. I'm going to get it over with and done with. I want you to enjoy your way along the class and get more out of it. And if you think about a time in your life when you excelled at something that you actually wanted to do, you'll probably find that it didn't feel like work. You were enjoying yourself along the way. You were putting in 100%. And that's the difference between the things that you want to do in life and the things that you have to do. And I want you to be thinking about this class as something that you have the opportunity to do and you have the opportunity to excel in. So think about those differences as you go. So what you want to do versus what you have to do. And I want to wrap up this video by saying that my goal for you this semester is to see you succeed. I want 100% of my students to succeed in this class, and I want you to be thinking about what your goals are for the semester. I want you to think about your goals outside of the class, and I want you to actually write them down. So I want to think about academic goals, certainly. I want you to say that my goal is to get an A in my math class, or to not miss a single ENC 1101 class, or to submit all my assignments on time. So I want you to think academically, but I also want you to think about other things outside of the classroom. Simply, what do you want to do well on during our time together? Is there a certain thing you've been saving up to purchase? Is there a health goal you have in mind? Have you been meaning to drop 10 pounds the last couple of months and haven't done it yet? Is there a book you've been meaning to read? Is there a project you've wanted to start? Is there a language you want to learn, an instrument you want to be familiar with? So I want you to start thinking about your entire life and not just this class specifically, because you'll find that you can take the logic and the strategies that we talk about in this class and apply them to really everything that you want to accomplish in your life. So in the next 24 hours, I want you to write down a few things that you want to accomplish this semester. I'm going to continue to ask you about these things throughout these videos together. I'm going to hold you accountable for the things you say that you want to do. So write down 3 or 4 things that you want to accomplish. I want you to write down the majority of them to not be school related. We'll talk plenty about school goals, certainly, but I want you to have goals outside of the classroom, because the more successful you are in the things that you set your mind to, the more that success will translate to all the areas of your life. So be thinking about the next 24 hours and specifically write these goals down. You should have a notebook for your SLS 1101 class. Just jot them down. My goals. We'll flip back to this notebook in our time together. I'm going to hold you accountable for the things that you say that you want to do. So keep that in mind. Write those down. I'll check in on those goals week to week, believe me. Homework, start familiarizing yourself with Blackboard. Start reading chapter 1 of your textbook and take notes as you go. Those will help you with your quizzes, and they'll help you provide evidence of your study activities. When you're reading your textbook, you don't necessarily have to read it from cover to cover, but be familiar with it. Go into more detail of the things that interest you. Start completing your study activities from Module 1 from Blackboard and keep notes on those as well, just like you would your textbook. I'm going to ask you about all that information on Quiz 1. So it's going to ask you about the videos you watch. It's going to ask you about the readings you complete. It's going to ask you about the quizzes you take along the way also. So be familiar with that. Take notes. It will save you work in the long run. Also, know how to check your IRSC email. Know how to navigate all the IRSC websites and log on to what was My IRSC and is now My Pioneer portal, and be familiar with that as well as Blackboard. Otherwise, I'm glad to have you in the class. I look forward to talking to you more throughout the semester. Be thinking about those goals that you want to accomplish, and be thinking of the mindset of what you're really doing in the SLS 1101 class. Fight away from that from that structure of that I have to be here and find a way to want to be here and want to accomplish things during our time together. I appreciate you watching the entire video. That's an excellent first start, and I'll talk to you more in our coming weeks in the class. Have a great day.